In a world where digital technologies have become an integral part of our lives, children and teenagers master virtual space with a speed that sometimes overwhelms adults. They don't just use the internet, they live in it, creating their alternative identities. Avatars, nicknames, virtual masks. These are not just game elements, but important tools for the self-identification of a modern child. The digital image becomes a platform for experimenting with one's own personality, where one can try on various social roles without fear of judgment. Behind colorful avatars and unusual pseudonyms lie deep psychological processes: self-discovery, the desire to belong to a group, the aspiration for autonomy. In an era when the virtual and the real intertwine ever more closely, it is important for parents to understand: a digital mask is not a deception, but part of their child's complex path to maturity. It is a reflection of internal searches that have always accompanied adolescence, but now have acquired a new digital form of expression. The need for alternative identities has accompanied humanity since ancient times. Even in primitive societies, ritual masks allowed shamans and warriors to temporarily become someone else: a deity, a spirit, or a totem animal. This transformation was not merely a performance. It provided an opportunity to explore other facets of existence, inaccessible in everyday life. Ancient Greek theater, with its persona masks, further developed this idea, allowing actors to literally transform into characters from myths and legends. Medieval carnivals created a special space where a pauper could become a king, and a king a jester, temporarily freeing themselves from social constraints. In the world of literature, writers have for centuries used pseudonyms not only for protection, but also as a means of creative self-expression. Mary Ann Evans became George Eliot so that her works would be taken seriously in the male-dominated world of Victorian literature. Artists, musicians, poets, many created alternative personas to explore aspects of their personality that they could not express in ordinary life. Today's digital avatars are a natural continuation of this centuries-old tradition, but with new possibilities and scales. Virtual space, like ancient rituals or carnivals, creates a special territory where one can safely experiment with identity. A historical perspective helps us see the desire to create alternative self-images is not a pathology of the digital age, but a deep human need that has found a new form of expression. Why do children create digital personas? Underlying this are fundamental psychological needs that have found expression in various forms for centuries and are now manifesting in virtual space. Self-expression is the first and perhaps the most powerful of these. A teenager creating an avatar with bright hair and an unusual appearance explores facets of their personality that are difficult to express in the real world with its limitations. The virtual image becomes a canvas for creative self-discovery. Autonomy is another key need. During a period when a teenager strives to separate from parental figures, a digital pseudonym provides a sense of independence and control over their own life. Online space becomes a territory where the child themselves sets the rules. Belonging to a group is the third crucial motive. By creating an avatar for a specific community, a teenager finds their tribe, people with similar interests. This is especially important for children who experience difficulties in real social interaction. Finally, competence. The opportunity to feel successful and significant. A virtual persona allows a teenager to develop skills and gain recognition in areas where they might feel insecure in real life. Erik Erikson, when researching the adolescent identity crisis, spoke of the need to experiment with different roles. Digital space provides an ideal platform for this, safe, flexible, with the possibility of quickly changing personas. This is not an escape from reality, but a crucial stage in the formation of a holistic personality. In the digital world, children don't just create pictures and names. They build an entire system of alternative personalities, each serving a specific psychological function. Researchers identify 4 main types of digital avatars, which reflect different aspects of a child's inner world. Idealized avatars represent an improved version of themselves, more attractive, stronger, more successful. Through such images, a teenager projects their dreams and aspirations, visualizing who they want to become. Compensatory avatars help make up for what is lacking in reality. A shy child creates the image of a charismatic leader, a self-doubting one, a superhero. These virtual masks allow them to experience what is unavailable in everyday life. Experimental avatars serve as a testing ground for exploring different facets of personality. Through them, children try on various social roles, worldviews, and even gender identities, safely examining the boundaries of their own self. Protective avatars perform a safeguarding function. They are as far as possible from the child's real image and serve as a shield, allowing interaction with the world while maintaining anonymity and emotional security. The choice of avatar type is often linked to age and psychological characteristics. Younger children gravitate towards fairy tale, fantastical images that reflect their rich imagination. Teenagers, aged 10 to 12, prefer idealized avatars that help them cope with physical changes and insecurity. Older teenagers more often experiment with different identities, exploring the multifaceted nature of their personality. Gender differences are also noticeable. Girls more often choose avatars that emphasize external attractiveness or reflect emotional states, while boys choose images symbolizing strength and competence. Digital masks are not just a way to hide from reality, but also a powerful tool for personal growth. Virtual space creates a unique laboratory for safe experimentation with identity. Here, a teenager can try on different social roles without fear of irreversible consequences or judgment, which is critically important during the period of personality formation. 14-year-old Elisa, who had difficulty communicating with peers, was able to gradually overcome social anxiety through her avatar in a creative online community. Starting with commenting on the works of others, she gradually moved on to publishing her own stories and illustrations, receiving support and recognition. This experience allowed her to develop confidence, which later transferred to real life. Virtual personalities often become a testing ground for developing creativity. By creating unique images and stories for their avatars, children develop imagination, artistic taste, and narrative skills. For many, this becomes the first step toward a future creative profession. Alternative identities can also serve as an effective adaptation mechanism. Research shows that moderate use of protective avatars helps children with traumatic experiences gradually integrate painful experiences. Through a virtual image, they gain the opportunity to control a situation that was beyond their control in reality. Digital masks contribute to the formation of stable self-esteem, allowing a child to explore different aspects of their personality and find those in which they are truly successful. This is especially valuable in adolescence, when self-esteem is often unstable and dependent on external evaluations. A virtual mask is a double-edged sword. By delving too deeply into alternative images, a child risks encountering serious psychological problems. Dissociation is one of the main dangers. When the line between the real and virtual self blurs, a teenager may begin to perceive their true personality as alien and inferior. 16-year-old Maxim became so attached to his heroic avatar in a multiplayer game that real life began to seem gray and meaningless to him. He started avoiding school, friends, family events, everything that distracted him from the virtual world where he felt significant. The digital mask, from a tool of development, turned into a means of escaping reality. Another danger is the use of virtual images to avoid real problems. Instead of learning to overcome social anxiety, conflicts with peers, or academic difficulties, a teenager may completely retreat into a comfortable online space. Such escapism only exacerbates problems, which, over time, accumulate and become even more intractable. Addiction to virtual identities forms gradually. First, the child simply enjoys positive feedback online, then begins to need it more and more. And eventually, virtual recognition becomes the only significant source of self-esteem. Real social skills, meanwhile, atrophy, creating a vicious circle. The less experience of live communication, the harder it is to participate in it, and the more appealing the virtual world with its predictable rules of interaction seems. Anonymity online is a phenomenon as old as the internet itself. It's a kind of invisibility cloak, allowing a child to feel protected from external judgments and consequences. Behind this invisible veil, a surprising transformation of behavior occurs, which psychologists call the online disinhibition effect. A release, a liberation from habitual social constraints. This effect works in two opposite directions. On the one hand, beneficial disinhibition allows a shy teenager to overcome communication barriers, express their thoughts and feelings without fear of judgment. The quiet boy in class becomes an eloquent blogger, the insecure girl, a leader of an online community. Anonymity gives a voice to those who often remain unheard in real life. But there's also a flip side: toxic disinhibition. The lack of a visible connection between a real identity and online behavior can lead to aggression, trolling, cyberbullying. A child who would never insult a classmate to their face might write cruel comments under someone else's photos, not fully realizing the emotional damage they inflict. Why does this happen? The psychological mechanisms here are multi-layered. Invisibility creates an illusion of safety. Asynchronous communication allows one to avoid immediate emotional reactions from the interlocutor. Solipsistic introjection. When we read other people's messages, we often imbue them with our own inner voice, which creates the feeling of talking to oneself. For modern children, virtual space is becoming not just entertainment, but a full-fledged social environment. Through their digital personas, they learn to interact with society, assimilate norms and values, and try out various social roles. This process resembles traditional socialization, but takes place in a new dimension. 12-year-old Sonia, who created an avatar for a creative community, gradually mastered the unwritten rules of the group: how to give constructive feedback, how to receive criticism, how to resolve conflicts. These skills later proved useful to her in her school collective as well. Online communities become a kind of training ground where children can safely practice behavioral models before applying them in the real world. This experience is especially valuable for children with social anxiety or autistic traits. The predictability and structured nature of digital interaction makes social rules more understandable and accessible for learning. It is interesting that digital identity management skills themselves are becoming an important social competence in the modern world. The ability to create a suitable image for different contexts, control information about oneself, manage impressions. All this is required not only in virtual, but also in real interaction. However, there is also a danger. If a child socializes predominantly through digital masks, they may lack the experience of direct, spontaneous communication, where there is no opportunity to edit one's reaction or exit an unpleasant situation with a single click. The digital world opens up to children in different ways, depending on their age. And this is clearly manifested in the choice and use of virtual images. Younger school children, aged 7 to 9, treat avatars primarily as a game. Their virtual images are often fantastic, colorful, and reflect characters from their favorite cartoons or games. At this age, a digital mask is an extension of play activity, a way to transfer an imaginary world into digital space. Children of this age rarely think about the social aspects of their virtual image. For them, aesthetic pleasure and fun are more important. Middle school age, from 10 to 12, brings significant changes. The onset of puberty, with its physical transformations, often causes insecurity about one's own body. It is not surprising that avatars at this age become more idealized. They reflect not how the child looks, but how they would like to be. This is a period when digital masks begin to perform a compensatory function, helping to cope with a self-esteem crisis. For teenagers aged 13 to 15, virtual images acquire a new dimension. They become a tool for social positioning. An avatar is no longer just a picture, but a statement of belonging to a certain subculture or community. This is an age of intense search for one's place among peers, and digital images become an important means of self-presentation. Older teenagers, 16 to 17, show the greatest complexity in using virtual identities. They often create several different images for various social contexts, which reflects the multifaceted nature of their developing identity. At this age, digital avatars can serve as a testing ground for experimenting with different aspects of personality, including gender and sexual identity. How can parents find a balance between trusting their child and ensuring their safety in the digital world? The first and most important principle is not to panic if you discover your child's alternative online personas. Remember, experimenting with identity is a normal part of growing up. It just happens in the digital space now. Instead of immediate prohibitions and control, show genuine interest. Sounds much better than, "This approach preserves trust and opens the door for an honest conversation." It's important to distinguish between healthy experimentation and red flags. Situations where a child understands the difference between their virtual image and their real self, maintains interest in offline activities, uses an avatar for creative self-expression or socialization are considered normal. Reasons for concern may include a complete rejection of real life in favor of virtual life, creating dangerous or destructive personas, using a digital mask exclusively for communication with significantly older people. Try to regularly but unobtrusively show interest in your child's online life. Instead of interrogations, suggest a joint activity in their digital world. This is a natural way to stay informed without violating personal boundaries. Help your child understand the connection between virtual actions and real consequences through calm conversations, not lectures. Create an atmosphere at home where your child is not afraid to turn to you if problematic situations arise online. A conversation about digital masks requires a special approach. Many parents, upon discovering their child's alternative online persona, make the first critical mistake. They react emotionally, from a position of fear and misunderstanding, or such questions instantly erect a wall between generations. An effective dialogue begins with acceptance. This simple shift from judgment to curiosity opens doors for genuine communication. The second common mistake is excessive worry about the very fact of a virtual image's existence. Remember, for a modern teenager, digital self-presentation is as natural as choosing clothes. Instead of anxious questioning, offer to share. I'm curious what communities you've found thanks to your character. It's important to formulate a key message for the child. I respect your online space, but I'm always ready to help if difficulties arise. The technique of active listening works especially effectively. If I understand correctly, your avatar helps you feel more confident in communication? This approach shows a sincere desire to understand, not to judge. And finally, the most valuable thing parents can offer is their experience without moralizing. You know, when I was your age, we also looked for ways to express ourselves. They just were different. In the digital age, the line between the real and the virtual is becoming increasingly blurred. Our task is not to build walls between these worlds, but to build bridges. A modern child's healthy self-identification includes both dimensions, forming a holistic picture of the personality. Virtual avatars are not a threat, but additional facets that enrich the experience of self-discovery. The key to balance lies in integrating, not contrasting, these realities. It is important for parents to help children understand. A digital image is not a separate personality, but a manifestation of their multifaceted self. When a child sees the connection between their virtual experiments and real growth, they gain invaluable experience of self-acceptance. Support an open dialogue about which qualities of the avatar the child would like to develop in themselves. Encourage the transfer of positive online experiences into real life. Help them see that skills acquired through virtual images, creativity, communication, problem-solving, have value in any context. The future of digital self-identification lies not in immersion in virtuality, but in a harmonious combination of different dimensions of experience. Technologies will continue to evolve, offering increasingly immersive ways of self-expression. Our task is to teach children to use these tools to expand, not replace, reality. Tomorrow's healthy digital personality is not a mask, but a magnifying glass that allows for a deeper exploration of one's own multifaceted essence.